Hello, good evening YouTube, and welcome back. It's another video today, and we're going to be doing a 3-month review on the Stair Cordless Lift Duo, which I bought right back at the beginning of January. So by my calculations now, that means that we are just about 3 months into ownership of it. Now, this machine is another one of my cordless models. It's quite an old model now. It's been around for, I think it first came out in 2015, because I remember Alex doing a unboxing and review of this when his mother bought one right at the beginning when they first came out. Now, they don't do this anymore. They don't sell these on Bax's website. I don't think they do anyway. They've largely been discontinued now. They do a corded version of it that's very, very similar to this, which is the it's the Air I can't remember what it is now. Air Steerable Lift Pet Max, whatever it is. They sell them in Argos anyway, and they're like a corded version of this, and they're around about the £130 to £200 mark. Sometimes they're on special offer. There's a Pet Max version of it, and there's one called the Advance as well. They are very, very similar in setup to this, where they have the lift away feature on them, but they are corded rather than cordless. Now, there have been quite a few reviews done on this machine online that you can find. They are largely sort of mediocre reviews, and there's quite a few that have been put on there from people that have not been happy with them. That the carriage wheels are broken on the bottom, which seems to be a very, very common issue with this machine, in that the wheels on the bottom here tend to break away and break off of the bottom of the chassis. That seems to be the biggest issue that people have had with this machine, and it's good that I know that now, so that I can be more careful with it, so that I don't avoid sort of banging it down on the floor or bumping it over thresholds, which will probably end up breaking the wheels. It's a little bit unfortunate really, because this for a cordless machine, it isn't too bad. I thought it would be a lot worse, but it isn't actually too bad. When you use it for normal amounts of household dirt, then it seems to pick it up reasonably okay. It's not the most strongest machine in the world. It's got about an 18 to 20 volt battery on. The Dyson cordlesses are 21.6 volts, so it's not the most powerful. It doesn't have a digital motor, but it has 2 speeds. It has the boost speed and a normal speed. And on the boost, your battery life from one of the batteries is, with the beta bar going, the brush bar, it's about 16 minutes that it'll run for on boost. So it's not too bad. It's around about the same amount of run time as what I got from my V6 Absolute, which, when you have the brush bar on in normal power, runs for about 16 minutes as well. So I would rather personally use the V6 Absolute than this, though. I'll put it that way, because it's obviously a lot lighter. What else didn't I like about it? Well, let's just say that the other day I had to empty my Kirby bag out after a sort of a bag of filth test when I did the big mess test with the Kirby. And I tried using this in the lift away mode, like so, with the hose on the end, because it hasn't got wonderful hose suction on there. I thought this would be better for getting the dirt back out of the bag again, so it doesn't suck all the bag up to the nozzle. But unfortunately the machine wouldn't cope with the amount of dirt that was being drawn through. And what I tended to find, it all got blocked up and clogged around the shroud here. Rather than going right down into the bottom, it tended to get clogged up in this area here, and then it would form a clog here on the entrance to the bin. And the amount of times I had to keep clearing that. So it's not going to be really suitable for massive amounts of dirt. But I've put some dirt down on the carpets, and in there and in the bathroom as well, and we'll have a little run round with it in a bit. And we'll show it picking up some dirt, but I haven't put down the sort of levels that I put down with the big mess test, because it's obvious that a machine like this is not going to be able to cope with that. They're not representative of the messes you'd normally find in a home. Therefore, you know, we're doing a proper review of this now, so it would be unfair of me to judge this machine's capability on a big mess test. Okay. let's just put that back on there. As I say, it's quite a useful little feature that this machine has, in the way that your pod will lift off like this, so you can carry it up the stairs to do your stairs. But doing the stairs is a little bit tricky when the only tool they supply you with is this multi-tool, which is basically the crevice tool with the small dusting brush on the end. I mean, you can do your stairs with this. I'll put a little bit of dirt down on the stairs there, and we'll do that on the little demo that follows in about 5–10 minutes time. So that's the only tool that will come with it. It doesn't come with a turbo brush because it hasn't got the power to drive a turbo brush, and it doesn't come with an electric turbo brush either. Okay, let's just have the camera off and we'll have a closer look at it again. Now obviously I only did the review of this 3 months ago when I first had it, so you can tune into those videos there for a more sort of in-depth view of what this machine has and its features. But we can see in the bin there that I did use it the other night, and I haven't actually cleaned the machine out since then. I've just wiped it over on the outside, and I cleaned the filter off as well. Now the filter's just inside here. I did find that the filter did get moderately dirty. I mean, it hasn't got stupidly dirty, but it does soil the filter, as what you would expect for a single cyclonic. In fact, this machine is actually a dual cyclone. It's very, very similar design inside to what the Dyson DC01 and DC04 were. It has a large cone inside there. It draws the air in through the shroud here, into the large cone in the middle. The fine dust drops down the centre tube there, and anything that escapes the cyclone, I mean, you can see the remnants of dust on there now. But that type of fine dust is what eventually covers over this filter here, and you get a few bits of fluff on there as well. But it's not horrendous. It isn't as bad as I thought it would be. It does tend to retain its suction better than I thought. And that was cleaning up after that big bag of filth mess as well, and it didn't really make that much of a mess of the filter. And what I find is, rather than washing this all the time, I can just vacuum it off. Using another vacuum cleaner, I just vacuum the other side of the filter off, and we can wash it. If you feel like washing it, you can do, but they recommend you do it every month. And it has the filter type there. It says clean filter every 4 to 6 uses. Now if you used it once a week, then that's about once every 4 to 6 weeks, isn't it? So I'd say, you know, you probably need to think about vacuuming it off every 1 to 2 weeks if you use it a lot. And I would recommend washing it in water every month as well. You can never do too much filter cleaning. The cleaner you keep this filter, the better the machine's going to pick up. The filter is everything in these. Once that starts to get clogged, you'll just lose the suction. And it doesn't have a lot of suction to begin with, so... the hose on here, as I say, is it's relatively short length because it doesn't need to be a long stretch hose, because you can take your pod up and down the stairs with you and take it out to the car. Although I wouldn't have said it was probably the best machine for cleaning the car with either, because it doesn't have that much suction. I found that it works quite well on the carpets. It gets the surface dirt and cat litter off, cat fur, cat hair. And because she's only a short-haired cat, they don't tend to get wrapped around the brush roll either. I'll just turn it over and we'll have a look at the base. So that's the base. Your air path on this machine comes straight into the middle and goes up the hose on the back. And the hose travels all the way up to the top and round again. I would have liked to have seen it that it had a shorter air path between there and the entrance to the bin, because having that long hose there reduces the airflow. So the brush roll here, it's pretty easy to remove the cover plate. You would just unclip those two there and pull it back like this. It gives access then to clean out the brush roll or remove any clogs from here. I've never actually clogged it in that port there, incidentally, in normal use, so it doesn't do too badly. As long as you keep the filter and the shroud clean, it does tend to pick up reasonably okay. Your brush roll motor's inside here, and there's your brush roll belt there, which is actually a tuft belt on this, so it's actually a lifetime belt. You don't have to worry about changing stretch belts. The brush roll will pull out. You just lift this end here, and then unhook the belt off the end so it can be cleaned. And there are no screws in the sole plate, so it just literally clips on and off. And then clips back on there and clips back on there. Got little roller wheels underneath here, and your rubber there. Now this is the weak point area on the bottom of this machine here. What they tend to be is this is rather weak. This plastic is around these wheel mountings, and I've seen pictures of that have been put on reviews where these wheels are literally, the wheels themselves are okay and the axles are okay. It's actually the plastic that the axle or the spindle mounts into. The plastic gets brittle and breaks. I'd say it's probably because of rough treatment and people drop them harder than they should do on the floor, and that puts a lot of strain and pressure on that point there and causes these wheels to fracture the plastic housing. It may be one reason why they don't do this machine anymore, I don't know. But that was where the main problem with these lie, on those wheels. What I don't particularly like as well is these little tiny side bristles here, because what I find they tend to do is make lines in the carpet, lines that don't look very good. What they tend to do is they push into the pile. They don't really do a lot, and they just leave these long lines, and it looks pretty funny really. It's not really wonderful. I'd rather they weren't there, to be honest. They're supposed to help with getting dirt from up near the edges of skirtings, but they don't do a wonderful job. The Brushroll motor tends to be a little bit noisy and whiny, as you do find with these. It doesn't have masses and masses of power. You can hear it sort of straining a little bit even on carpet of this length. So I think that if you had a medium pile or a sort of a longer pile carpet, then this would really struggle, and you might find that your Brushroll motor kept cutting out because it was having to fight too hard against the pile. This is best on hard floors or very short pile carpets like this. I mean, this was a medium pile to start with, but it's worn over the years. It's like it's 12 years old, this carpet is now. And it does have a pile on it. And depending on which way you pull the machine against the pile, you can hear the motor slowing down as it fights with it. So that's that. It does have the removable handle and wand. You can just lift that out there, and you can attach your hose onto the end of here to use it as an extension. But that doesn't adjust, so you can only have it at one height. So let's just we'll just turn it. Well, actually, no, we won't turn it on now because we're going to be doing the demonstration with it now. I'm going to be picking up some of this dirt that I've put down on the carpet here, and there's some in the kitchen there as well, and some in the bathroom. There's some in the front room here. So as we go around, we can see what it picks up. So without further ado, let's get into doing that. What I'll try and do, I shall try and hold the camera as I'm going round on this particular video, rather than putting it on the back of here or on the table, because I want to show the action of the Brushroll picking up the dirt. I will have to hold the camera as we go round. So what we'll do first, we'll do this back room initially in the normal power without being in boost and see how it does. And then if it doesn't look as if it's going to pick the dirt up, I'll have to put it in boost. Now we've got 16 minutes remaining on this video, so that should be enough time on the same battery. And again we have the headlight on the front. go onto hard floor. Now, I tend to find that it actually works better with the brush bar switched on the hard floor, but on low power, which it's on now. Onto a larger chunk. Straight into the bin, no problem. One thing it does do is when you pull it back against the pile of the carpet, the floor head will judder. see that. You see the way when you pull it back, the floor head judders. So you have to pull it back. If you're going against the direction of the pile, when you're pulling it back, you need to pull it back slowly. Right, and it won't judder. I find that with the Dyson handhelds as well, they'll judder if I pull them back too quickly against the nap. But if you go with the nap of the carpet, it doesn't do it. Like so. Right, so what I'm going to do, just there's a little bit of mess on the stairs, I'll take off the pod, get the tool, I'll just turn it off so you can hear what I'm saying, it's a little bit noisy. So I'll just get the hose and the tool off the bottom. And then trying to hold the camera in one hand and extend the little dusting brush tool, and then I'll turn it back on and I'll put it on to boost this time, so you get little light comes on inside. We've got little particles there. Move it up to the next stair. And then we carry on, basically, all the way to the top, just standing upon each stair as you're going up. And what I tend to find is as well, and this happens with a lot of vax cleaners, is that the tool doesn't fit all that tightly on the end, and it's consequently you keep knocking it off all the time. This is, you know, it will push on, but as you work with it, it tends to get looser on the end of here because it doesn't clip on. I wish Vax would do something about sorting out the way that their tools fit onto the end of the hoses. I've always found it to be a bit of an issue with these, either being far too loose and they just drop off straight away, or they just don't seem to, well, you see what the problem is. Let's just take it over here and we'll do this little bit on this chair. So obviously this is the only tool you're given, there's no turbo brush, but it will. And we've got some particles on here, let's try again. So yeah, there we go. That's done pretty well. Let's just go and get the rest of it and put it back together again. And when you're lifting this, I mean, this without the pod on is so light to carry. So there was no clogs. You know, I've used it to pick up some dirt that I put round on all the type of floor surfaces in the house. There's been fluff and there's been particles of grit and rice, and even on minimum power or the standard suction, it has managed to pull it all up. Which is, it has quite surprised me, to be honest. It's actually not a bad machine. For the money it cost, which was $99.99 in B&M on discount. But there you can see the issue with some of the dirt has built up in the bottom of the bin. But what happens is, it spins around the top and then starts to accumulate here in the top. So it means that emptying it, what you have to do, I just have to do this quickly. We'll just have a look at the filter. And the filter's got a little bit of fluff on, look, but not too much. It's got a little bit of fine built up dirt on. There's a little bit inside there. It's not marvellous. So what I would do to empty it is to lift it slightly, like so. And then my alarm's going off as I'm nearly out of time. But basically you lift it out like so. It then drops off the shroud. We can put it to one side and take our rubbish here to the bin, which I'm going to use this bucket for, and just tip it in like so. And I find that's the easiest way of emptying it rather than using the bottom door. I just remove the shroud completely. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video.